Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're going to talk about difficulties of photography itself as a field, as a hobby, as a career. So let's dive deep into it. Now, first thing you have to understand, the cost of the equipments have gone bonkers, meaning I have been aware of photography for last 10 years and the outcome is very grim. The price hike on things, be it lens, be it accessories, be it the main body, it's, oh my God. It's like, are you kidding me? Like we went through a phase where people were getting jobs and everybody was almost buying a DSLR as a hobby. Everybody, it was like a very common thing to do in IT sector, where it's like, oh, you've been doing IT first few months of salary, and it's like, hey, let's buy a DSLR, Nikon D3100. Like it was a very, what you call, a normal thing to do. However, right now nobody does that, because again it's ludicrously expensive at this point in time. And why is that? Well, there are many things, of course, inflation, stupidity, things of that nature, but there is other core factor, that is sales volumes are not how high they used to be. Now sales volume has this weird relationship. The more you sell something, the bigger mass production you can set up. The more mass production you can set up, the lower per piece becomes, meaning fundamentally a Toyota car would be cheaper compared to a Lamborghini. And you may be thinking, "Oh, but Lamborghini is profitable." Nah. You look into Rolls Royce, they have been bought and sold so many times. I do not even know who is their current owner is. Same happens with Lamborghini. But Toyota, printing money like there is no tomorrow. There is a benefit, like there is a genuine benefit of being a mass producer, especially of something like a technical category. And that's the reason why smartphones are so goddamn good. Cameras were in that categories. They were like, everybody was producing camera, DSLRs. They were going like hotcakes. Millions of units sold. Now they have like 1/10 of what they used to be and declining constantly. So that directly, like that's on a physics level, where it's like, yeah, I can no longer mass produce. I can no longer put bulk order as I used to. Like the glass manufacturer is the same, technology is the same, but they cannot go to them. It's like, hey, mass produce this lens 50,000 piece, versus now they will be like, okay, produce 5,000. Like Zeiss glasses are fundamentally expensive because they are not mass producing it. And here's the deal, Zeiss mass production is nothing what compared to Nikon, and Nikon's production today, Nikon glass, is nothing compared to what they have been. So all of this starts to pile up, where they're like, dude, they have to keep the price high, otherwise like it will be loss leading product for them. So, and on top of that, while they are expensive, okay, they are expensive, but you would expect it to be like cutting edge, right? Like for example, you can buy a desktop that is expensive, but again, it would be best of the best of at that point in time. No basic laptop would be able to compete. DSLRs and mirrorless, they are opposite of it, meaning they are no longer cutting edge. I remember this whole time where smartphone became a thing. People started to buy it as a thing. Back then, you could still buy cameras, and there was like night and day difference in terms of technology. People were like, camera is like so refined, and be mindful, Android was made as a OS for cameras. It was not made as a mobile system. Like, think about it. Let that sink in. That's how big industry camera was back then, that somebody actually designed an operating system for it, and that operating system was spun up to make it into a whole mobile ecosystem. So fundamentally, even though you compare a camera, like let's say this camera of the smartphone available at that time, it's like not even close. For example, this is my recent phone, Samsung S23 FE, a low cost one, not the flagship variant or not a super expensive one, a low cost one. But here's the, this puppy has somebody wise enough to build this camera. It's like base application, no custom installation, nothing hoo-ha, base body. I go to camera, and the camera app is smart enough that, hey, what if you have these, the technology that we have been using from 1998, and these have a microphone in them. So what if you put it like this, and it camera directly takes audio from here rather than like wherever the mobile phone is. No matter how good your mobile phone camera would be, nothing will beat the physical proxy. So this basically your sound source versus the mic gap. That's why I'm using this. If I were using the onboard system, no matter which iPhone, Samsung S23 Ultra, whatever have you, nothing will beat this physical proxy. They know how to do this. 1998. And this is default app I'm talking about. Default app. It's not like, oh, I have to download this app, then have to sync it. Nothing, man. Default. And so far, most of the cameras, heck, this my ancient 7 years old Canon 800D has Bluetooth. It has a Wi-Fi, but it can't use it. So same thing, all the cameras are stuck in 1980, and nowadays it's far more painful. Like early days, OLEDs were not preferred for bright displays or outdoor displays. Cameras are used outdoors, so people were like, hey, we cannot give you OLED because it's not bright enough. That was factually true back in 2015. Not today anymore. And again, they do not last. Not anymore. But they're still using LCDs, and my god, the borders are huge, the refresh rate is low, the brightness is so low. It's like, are you kidding me? And other companies like Kfinity, or be it, another example would be Atmos Ninja V, they are still using the same 4-inch display. How the heck they're getting such a high resolution output? Because there are suppliers available for it. But camera companies like, but what if we do not upgrade from 1980? So all of this piles up. All of this creates a scenario where more and more people are buying the camera, using it, and it's like, let's put it down. Now, photographers whose job it is, who's like making money out of it, of course they will put up with whatever they have to put up. That's why Linux is used in servers. Like, if you are getting paid to deal with command line, you will deal with the goddamn command line. So, but again, the bulk of people will be frustrated. They will be like, dude, what is this ancient LCD technology that you are giving me? What is this ancient BS where I cannot use the goddamn Bluetooth? What is this? Oh, by the way, many of the cameras, like including Sony, you cannot fast forward videos in that. Like, you can capture the video, awesome. You can't play for, like, the app to play the video in the cameras is like so ancient. It's like, oh, you want fast forward? You want sleep? What the hell? These things are not available in 2024. That's painful. And accessories are also expensive. Like back in the days, nobody, if you could afford a DSLR, nobody was even thinking about, oh, how much a card is gonna cost. Today's card cost, like, this is a CFast Express Type B card. Again, this is a bit cheaper compared to Type A, which is used by Sony, because this is used in Canon, Nikon, a few Sony. Yeah, I hate Sony for this, and other also. So this is quite a mass-produced one, and because Snapdragon, I'm saying SanDisk is manufacturing it, its price is quite low, and it's for half terabyte, like 512 gigabyte. It's like 21,000. It's bonkersly expensive. And again, 2-3 of this was like a Nikon D3100. 2 of them. So be mindful. You cannot even go to 1 terabyte, or the price is like, oof, painful. So all of things have become expensive. And I'm talking about pancake lenses. Pancake lenses of now versus pancake lenses of the yesteryear. Price is like unbearably, shockingly bad, bad. And again, compared to inflation, it's still bad. It's not like, oh, inflation. Yeah, inflation is there. It's not helping. Let that be very clear. It's just that on top of that. So it's very costly. So if you're trying to jump into it, do not be shocked by the price and the capital investment required. Now we come to the most neglected part of it, is that storage. Now, when we used to use negatives like this puppies, and yes, I have shot movies on this. Movies not, I'm saying, like 120mm film, like Kodak 120. Yeah, I have no idea why they had, but when you had that, that always became your thing. Like, that was a physical permanent raw file. You stored it, it was small, it was compact, and again, as long as you can remove it from ultraviolet exposure, light, basically you can put it in cold dark place like a medicine or capsule, and as long as you can seal it against moisture, you're good, you're sorted. You never have to worry about it for at least a century. So we know, like, that was a very good backup archive of it, especially if you are taking photographs of something important, like if you are taking photos of a political event, if you are taking photos of a, let's say, architecture, right, a building, old monuments, all of these things disappear over time. So any photo taken today is far more valuable tomorrow rather than today. And again, you must have seen, like, people pay a lot of money to recover old negatives and all that. Right now there are services for it. I have used one of them. I recovered, like, my family's old 120 film from, like, there was a service, I have to pay for it, colorful, but it was very degraded because we did not keep it away from moisture. So there was an ecosystem where it's like, okay, we shoot in negatives are the raw file, you get the exposed photos, and voila, done, go home. But in today's day and age, that's not possible. Why? Well, raw files, while they are awesome, they are raw, they are proprietary, meaning a raw file engine, that you have a decoder in your camera, or a decoder in your mobile app, or decoder in your computer. It can only read a very specific system. For example, if you install a Sony plugin, it will only read Sony plugin, and on top of that, only the exact model. Every model is different. So Sony A7 III is different compared to Sony A7 Mark IV. And that's why you will see all the tech reviewers that are like, the raw file are unprocessed. Yeah, they have to launch systems. It's not even like Sony raw format. This is the format, go YOLO on it. Oh, this is Sony, this exact model, this exact protocol. Every model is different. So this creates a incentive. Even though people, there are tech savvy people, they do not want that file. I cannot give someone like the Kotek, I'm sorry, the Canon RAW file, because again, unless they have this exact package of Canon 800D, they will not be able to play back it. And same goes with a modern camera. Old cameras, again, companies like Adobe and Microsoft, they do release a patchworks where it's like, okay, let's update like the last 50 cameras, popular cameras, then update all that. These are very difficult problem to solve. Negatives, no problem. Put it under light, done, go home. Put it in any scanner. Put it under Canon scanner. Put it under Epson scanner. Nobody gives a damn. Put it in a drum scanner. Nobody gives a damn. It will work. So we went from that era to like, what the hell is this? And that's just on the decoding side. Let's assume you can sort it, right? That's not that big of a difficult, minor inconvenience, but can be solved. It's like, how the heck you going to store the file? Digital files are very vulnerable to things. There are things that happen. First thing, that is the primary reason of data loss, is the person using it. For example, you have a file. How many of you know, like, this exact folder, I only dump file into, I never delete it accidentally? How many of you have that sort of hygiene over decades? None. You do not do that. Like, corporations have to hire people whose sole job it is to do that with their backup data. We are not that good. On top of that, like, what if I upload it in cloud data? How do you know that you will not delete it if, like, let's say I paid for 200 gigabyte capacity? Cool, awesome. I upload 100 gigabytes of photo. I need to transfer something bigger. In that moment, it is important. What is the chance I will remember to, like, okay, let's not do it. Let's upgrade the data pack and then, like, you know, add the data, use the data, then shrink it back again so I can afford to pay it. No. That data will be deleted. The primary reason of data failure in digital file is the person itself. Many of time you would have kept this file, hey, let's keep this file, and you would have deleted it. So a lot of things. And on top of that, you're like, what if I collect hard drives, put data into this and just put it and forget it? Yeah, the data inside it will rot. Yes, that's the technical term, data rot, R-O-T. Because of the magnetic system used here, the platters are magnetic. So the magnetic domain inside them, they will flip over time. They can barely 7 to 8 years reliably. And if you have a lot of file, like, again, these things will be like few terabytes. So all those terabytes, most of them will be corrupted by 10 years. And that's assuming the hard drive actually works after 10 years. It won't. If you are running it constantly, it will break 5 to 8 years. If you are not running it, again, data will be corrupted. So if you had a checksum algorithm to check for it, it will be like, yeah, most files are poofed. I had that issue. Even the file was intact, the video playback, yeah, poofed. So that's why you have to do 3, 2, 1. So you do understand, like, then you're like, okay, why can't we print it? That's good. That's actually, you have a much higher chance of actually surviving a photo if you print it, high quality print it. Yeah, they're expensive and a hassle to deal with. And because of the amount of photos we take, yeah, you have to be ludicrously, even with ink tank printers, you have to be loaded to sort it out. So what can we do? Well, I have already talked about the algorithm part of it, like archiving and all that last video. But here, the only option is left is this M-Disk. Now, M-Disk is a technology. Basically, you have to understand, when you buy a disk like this, right, Blu-ray, quad layer Blu-ray, things of this nature, they are stamped. So if you buy a CD, it's not actually somebody made a CD, then data was burnt. No, it's stamped. It goes vajayam. So benefit is it's physically molded there. The data will not go corrupted. Now, CDs were the worst format because they had a one mistake in it. So like, this is a DVD. So DVD idea is you have a polycarbonate layer, you have data layer, another polycarbonate layer, and that's how you store the data. So it's polycarbonate from both sides, so you cannot damage it easily. CD, it was polycarbonate, data layer, done. So data layer was exposed to the elements. It was very unreliable. So DVD, they fixed it. Now the DVDs that you buy, like blank DVDs, keg like this, you buy a pack of this and all that. So these things are quite good, but here's the problem. They need something that changes shape, right? Changes its architecture, so you can burn data through lasers. Problem is, anything that is weak enough that a tiny laser can do something to it, it's also vulnerable enough to other things. For example, these things, while they are quite reliable and compared to hard drives, they are priceless. Like, I do not have any hard drive that stored data for 10 years without corruption, while all my CDs and DVDs that have burned, not manufactured one, not stamped one, burnt one, they are still surviving. But again, they will not survive very long, especially if you ever get expose them to moisture, because again, that organic layer will oxidize. So moisture, no, data is not stable. So some company around 2006 and 7, they started to develop a formula, the M-disk formula. So Millennium disk, the idea with that is instead of using dyes that are organic dyes, they will use mineral. So it's a far harder component and it requires much higher power laser. So yes, you do need optical drives that are rated for M-disk. Only then you can etch onto it. Now, benefit of that is that in principle can last a very long time. There are people who have done testing on freezing it, thawing it, it still works. So you can buy M-disk from Verbatim. So that's the only company that is still manufacturing it as of now. Now, do you need to buy M-disk? Because they are expensive, but they are the only thing where I can have very high probability that if you put data into this, let's say you take a photos of a building that is to be demolished or old building that got destroyed in an earthquake, you put it here, what is the chances that this disk will be able to retain data for, let's say, 50 years, 100 years? Very high. Much higher than any magnetic system, be it LTO tapes, which are only lifespan for 15 to 30 years, magnetic drives, and you're like, what about the SSD? They are even worse. They're not designed for archive, they're designed for running, they're not designed for archiving. So M-disk is one option. If you cannot afford M-disk, you can still afford DVDs, and be mindful, DVDs still will beat all hard drives. And if you want some capacity, you can go into Blu-ray. And I have heard, which I cannot confirm, I do not have electron microscope, is that newer Blu-rays, they have much better die structure. So that die is even far more robust compared to, again, we did learn CD mistake, DVD fixed it, then Blu-ray, we fixed another problem. So normal Blu-rays are like 25 gigabyte. So you will get 22 GB of useful data. So they will come into like this. So you can buy it from Tenoth in India or eBay from India. If you are willing to go YOLO, buy it from eBay. It's very cheap. Say select free shipping internationally, then you can buy it. So that's the only way where I can tell you there is some chance that you store data and that data can be retrievable 50 years down the line. Some chance. And do not worry about the player part, because again, because movies are manufactured on this, there are more than enough services industries. There will be like, same way I gave someone money to scan my negatives, there will be company that are like, okay, we can recover data from your disk. Do not worry about that part. So storage, if you are doing any client work, any work that is precious enough, do this. At least DVD, come on. Now we come to the most destructive thing that happened to photography is artificial intelligence. The reason is law of physics is clear, meaning this puppy should not be able to take a photograph compared to this ancient, it's not ancient, it's 6-7 years old Canon 800D. That should not be possible because that's a freaking APS-C sensor. It's like almost this much. And with big glass, there is no comparison there. Like law of physics is clear, bigger glass, bigger lens is better. That's why our telescopes are like even bigger. Like we literally have a telescope that has this big sensor array. Like we are working our ass off to make all the optics as big as possible, while mobile phone is like, I got you fam. Even the point and shoot camera that is here, not like pinhole camera here, it's so good. How? Well, it's not that good. That's the whole problem. It's not good. So what's happening is that law of physics is clear, you cannot do that, but you can cheat. So cheating is using advanced AI. You can just take an ugly input and paint over it. Meaning there is an AI engine in all modern smartphones that studies what the hell you took photo of. Meaning it will take a photo and then it's like, it will be ultra garbage. It will like, okay, I got the photo. And it's like, what is the photo? Photo is the dog, photo is a cat, photo is a flower, all of that. And based on that, it will start painting on top of it. Meaning you must have seen, it's very obvious, kind of like in 2018 and 2019 era. Smartphones, especially with beauty filters, they're like, oh, this is a face. It understood it's a face. It's a cheek. And it's like, flat color, then gray color. Now it's so efficient, it actually creates basically almost a heat map, where it's like it gets the topology of the face, then applies motion smoothing according to the facial structure. So it actually looks normal. So many people are like, I look so young in this. Yeah, it knows what you are. It's not giving you the actual output. Like the actual output of micro sensors that are used here, like this sort of a piece, it's ugly. So AI is taking that just as a reference. It's almost like a painter is there in an AI system where it's like, I got it. So that's the frame. It converts it into outline and then paints on it. And because now it's so advanced, it's like, oh, this is hair. Do not apply noise reduction here. Oh, it's eyes. Apply noise reduction, because people do not want to see, oh, the white colors in your eyes is not absolutely milky white. Let's whiten it up. So all of these things, basically, they are converting photos into paintings. And because again, it's like an AI doing it and it's so fast, it feels like a photo, but it's not really. It's the soul is not there. So outcome is And again, how we are training AI, we are basically like, Samsung would be like, okay, this is our sensor, this is the lens equipment, put it next to it, put a giant ass camera, let's say phase one camera, and it's like, okay, this is the most optimum outcome, this is the scene. AI learn, this is your training data, this is what I want, the output, and this is the input. AI can learn it. That's why we have the AI engines. So it's not giving you real world. Let that be very clear. The photos that are coming out of your mobile phone is not real anymore. It's literally painted on. So to be fair, photographers also do the same thing with the raw files, because again, raw file always looks like so dull, because real life is dull. Is that when you go saturate it, boost it, all that, now your smartphone is doing it. So problem is everybody can do it. So this from false skin tone to false background blur to false noise reduction, not false as in like a very specific noise reduction where it like knows what to do. Outcome is like it reduces the value of capturing in camera. Like how we had a cinema where like people used to do a lot of compositing, lot of what we call special effect, things that are happening in front of camera. Now all of them are gone. Like just shoot in behind a green screen, and the quality degrades. Same thing is happening with photography. So all that effort that we had to use to put in order to get a good photo, then we get a good raw, then we used to process it and make a masterpiece. Now it's like, take the photo, AI is like, I got you fam, I'm gonna ta-da. So artificial intelligence literally destroyed the value of a good photograph anymore. Like, and you're like, okay, you can zoom in, you can see it. Like nobody has time for that. Nobody has time for that. And you need to make money, especially if you are doing this as a career. You need to make money, and how much money people are willing to pay you is directly proportional to how what is the gap between somebody's mobile phone snap versus what you are taking. So early days it was like there was not even a competition. It was just like, okay, you have a photo versus like you have a photo. So now it's like, now gap is still there, but it's like, who is printing magazines now? So now, yeah, I know there are some companies still, but that's the whole point. Some companies. So artificial intelligence caused massive disruption to quality. Again, it's just a painting at this point in time. Now, another aspect is expectations. Now, there are certain expectations that people are piling up on photographers, especially event photographers and all that, is that they want it now in social media. Meaning back in the days, because of the whole process of like, oh, taking a photo, developing a reel, then developing the photographs off of that, all of that steps used to be like time consuming. So people had a different understanding. It's like, oh, wait few days, then we're gonna get it. Now people are like very what you call anxious, whereas it's like, hey, you took the photo, why I cannot share it right now on Instagram? So now photographers team literally have a one guy whose sole job is like just figure things out, just sort photos. So that creates a very serious issue. Another aspect is now, because if you go into a wedding, everybody is taking photo. Consequence is that nobody wants to pay for it, let alone pay fair price. For example, this is the worst case scenario I've seen. This is an Indian wedding photography team, and this individual was not allowed to eat in the wedding. And I do not know whether you guys know about Indian wedding or not. We do not cheap out on food. Like, we got this. We got this. We got this. We do not be like, oh, you cannot eat food. That's rarely done. Even though per plate is very expensive, like 1800 rupees per plate. Now, this individual is complaining that 1800 rupees per plate, which again, from an Indian context, is still loaded. It's not free. It's expensive. Fine. Dandy. His deal, that individual who's taking the photos, they are taking photos. They had like, according to this individual, only 8 people were there. So he's like, why would I pay so much more when I have paid 1.4 lakh rupees for hiring the team? Yeah, 1.4 lakh, that's a very cheap lens. That's not even 70 to 200. That maybe Tamron to 70 to 200, f2.8 is in that price range. It's not that high. For 8 people, that's really not that high. And it's like, oh, we do not want to take photo, give. And now again, this is a bit more animated example, real world. I really hope it's fake. But more and more people are saying like, you want thousands of dollars for photography? It's like, yeah. Nobody wants to pay for it. And again, you will face this issue. Many times people will like, exposure, this and that. Like, people are suffering for this. And then you're best of the best. Yeah. That's not how life works. It's like best of the best, best of the best. That's not how life works. Life works on the 99%, not 1%. 1% of any field would be like, there are people whose sole job it is to make vinyl records. How many people do you think are employed? The 1%? Or like most people are like, yeah, that's a rich people's, luxury asset now. So, and comparison of authentic photos, like whenever you take an authentic photo, there is an age to it, there is a naturalness to it. People don't want to see that. It's like, especially brides, they're like, oh, you're telling me that my face has structure? Polish it. And again, AI is like, I got you fair, I got you fair. So it literally is soul crushing. Like if you can give someone a good photo and compare that to AI generated, like, which is like, again, just taking a photo, it's AI painting it. AI painting one is like so vibrant, so wow, over the top. People are like, "Eesh," that kills the photographic spirit. That's the worst thing I have seen in long term. Like in the last 5 years, this is what I'm seeing. And be mindful, we are just at the early phase. What smartphones can do like 8 years from now or 10 years from now, I do not even want to know. It's like, so quality versus desire is not a winnable fight. So people, I do expect, again, if you are dealing with rich people or very rich clients and all that, but how many are there? So there's a very serious expectation, a mismatch now. Like unless people value authenticity, nobody's gonna willingly pay you. And unless you are like dealing with super rich clients, like who cares? But not everybody is in that luxury where it's like, who cares? So this was my presentation on problems that people are facing in photography. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please hit the like button, share it amongst a friend. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.